Global warming? Is it really caused by the burning of fossil fuels, coal, and trees? Does driving our cars pose a risk to our overall climate? We'll show the true cause of global warming and the devastating effects that it's having on our planet today. That's coming up next on IBN News. Greetings, everyone. I'm Kim Kaziaka.
And I'm Charity Hammerman. Blistering heat, massive wildfires, severe drought, disastrous storms, and devastating earthquakes all have been wreaking havoc across the globe with no apparent end in sight.
According to a February 2007 IPCC report, or the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, humans have caused all or most of the current planetary warming.
What was once an ecological haven is now a desolate planet. IBN News' Amy Sullivan has more on this developing story.
Thank you, Charity. What's going on with our weather? This question has both meteorologists and scientists on a quest to find an answer. From the worst droughts and hottest days ever recorded, topping those seen in the days of the Dust Bowl of the 30s, to killer storms unlike any we've ever experienced before. Temperatures across the globe have drastically risen from the norm, bringing unseasonably warm temperatures and catastrophic results. The hotter temperatures have been magnified by extreme drought weather, causing crops and animals to wither and wildfires to burn across the United States. According to Reuters, drought continues to expand through the central U.S., with more than 62% of the nation experiencing drought. 2012 marked the hottest year on record for the nation, the NOAA said. We've seen melting ice caps causing rising sea levels to untimely downpours causing floods and landslides that have created widespread devastation. And adding insult to injury, Superstorm Sandy, caused by unusual jet stream patterns resulting from climate changes, flooded streets and highways, and even submerged underground subways, making it one of the most costly storms in U.S. history. So how far will it go? Will this out-of-control weather ever resume its normalcy, or will the world continue to be a helpless victim to a merciless environment? I'm Amy Sullivan, IBN News correspondent. Kim and Charity, back to you.
Scientists have recently discovered that the atmosphere, or firmament, is made up of thousands of diverse microbes and bacteria, and that some of these microbes are, in fact, permanent residents of the atmosphere, and not just transitory particles. A global study has found that tiny fragments of biological material are a major component of the atmosphere, controlling the weather and forming a previously hidden microbial metropolis in the skies.
Even more enlightening are the studies that show the presence of new and harmful microbes that have invaded the atmosphere and may be another means by which we are changing our atmosphere, and according to researchers, even our climate. For more understanding of the subject, IBN News consulted a research analyst to help explain what's taking place. We're here with research analyst Rhea Shoshana, who has done extensive study on the topic of global warming, and she's here with us today to discuss her findings. Rhea, first off, we want to thank you so much for coming here today to speak with us.
Thank you for asking me.
So I wanted to start off by asking you, Rhea, what role do microbes and bacteria play in our environment?
The role of the microbes and the bacteria in the atmosphere is rather extensive. These roles that the bacteria actually have in not only the formation of clouds, but also the formation of water droplets. The formation of water droplets, what they need is it's called an ice nucleator. These ice nucleators can be anything from pieces of dust, pollen, fungi, bacteria, and anything else that is floating in the atmosphere at the time. And they found that the most efficient ice nucleators are the bacteria, the living organisms that the ice is formed around, because this allows the ice to be formed at a higher temperature. Because with a piece of dust, the temperature is like minus 40 degrees Celsius, which is really below freezing, sub-freezing. And with the bacteria, the temperature is at -2 degrees Celsius, which is right at the freezing level, which is Celsius, or the freezing level is 0. So these bacteria are more efficient in allowing the formation of ice and water droplets, which is what the clouds are mostly made up of, is made up of moisture. But if there's nothing for the water droplets to form around, then rain will never be formed. Rain droplets would never be formed. And without the rain droplets, then you would never have rain that comes from the clouds and comes to the ground and waters the planet. And we would become dehydrated. There would be no water. So the scientists are actually finding that the best ice nucleators are the bacteria. And there's been several studies. They've had studies over Austin and Houston where they found 1,500 different bacteria in the sky. Not only bacteria, but also fragments and snippets of viruses was over these cities. There's several other studies that were done. The most recent one is they've actually flown into 2 hurricanes. These planes actually flew into the eye of these 2 hurricanes and took samples from the sky. And the amount of bacteria that they found in these samples amazed the scientists. And they've taken several other different studies. From the mountaintops of Everest to the air above the Antarctic to the air over the subcontinent of the United States. And each one of these different samplings that they've taken have actually shown, they call it a core 17, where there's 17 bacteria that is in every single one of the samples that they have taken in all these different areas of the Earth. And they found that these bacteria are what are forming the clouds. It's also what's filtering the sun's radiation so that we don't get burnt from the heat of the sun. It's also filtering the air, so you're getting a higher quality of air. And this is all done by the microbes that they're finding in the air. So the role that they play is absolutely very important to the Earth. They actually call them the best climate engineers.
So, Ria, it's very clear that the microbes and the bacteria seem like they're necessary for our very survival. Can you tell us what's going on in the atmosphere now?
The bacteria are being invaded. They're being attacked by viruses. See, there's not only bacteria that's in the air. There's bacteria, there's funguses, there's viruses, there's pollen, there's dust. There's all kinds of different types of matter that's in the air. Now, the viruses are actually invading the bacteria. They've actually done studies with, the most recent one was the sea creatures, sea crustaceans, that actually, phytoplankton, that feed the ocean's mammals, the ocean's fish and organisms. And what they found is, they found that the viruses are invading and actually killing these small crustaceans. It's doing the exact same thing in the bacteria that's in the atmosphere, that's controlling the climate. And as these bacteria die off, the viruses are taking over. But the viruses aren't created to create ice and water. They're not, they don't know how to control the jet streams. They don't know, because that's not their job. The bacteria's job is to control the jet streams, to control the air currents, to control the ocean currents, because when people think of the atmosphere, they think the atmosphere is up here and the surface of the Earth is down here, and they don't interlink. But it's a circle. It's a cycle. When the water falls from the sky, it lands on the plants and on the soil, and the bacteria that's in the water actually, help the soil and the plants. And then as it evaporates, it goes back up into the air. So it's a cycle. And they live off of each other. So when these bacteria are dying off, they're not able to control the systems, the storm systems. And one of the biggest examples is the most recent huge system we had, which was called Sandy. And because of the bacteria not being able to control the clouds and the formation of the water and the wind currents and the jet streams, there was 4 systems involved in that one storm. And they were so out of control that the damage that one storm did traveled the whole way up the East Coast and all the way into Canada because the jet streams weren't going the way it's supposed to go, the air currents weren't going the way it's supposed to go. Sandy should have ended up in the Atlantic Ocean. But because of the storm coming off of Greenland and a storm coming off of Canada and a storm coming off of the West Coast, that storm system got sucked into the East Coast and up through Pennsylvania and up into Canada and actually destroyed that whole area that it covered when it should have been out in the Atlantic. And that is mainly because microbes in the atmosphere were not able to do their jobs, which was control the climate and protect the Earth.
Rhea, it's interesting how you brought up Sandy and the devastation that it caused everyone, everywhere. And it seems that the microbes are suffering right now, and like you said, that the great bugs are actually dying. What is causing them to die?
Just recently, there's been thousands of scientists who have agreed with the man-made cause of climate change. It is not caused by carbon emissions. That, because if it would have been caused by carbon emissions, then the climate change would have started back when we started the industrial age, and it hasn't. It's only been in this time when the skyrocketing of the STDs, the skyrocketing of the viruses, the microbes, the antibiotic diseases. There's so many diseases, viruses, and bacteria that are antibiotic resistant, and that's all caused by man. And it's a lot of it is because of fornication. It's because of adultery. The adultery has increased, fornication has increased, sodomy, bestiality. I mean, just look at the current court justices' decisions that they've passed. Teenagers can get birth control without their parents' permission. They've said that same-sex marriages, the genetically modified foods, the increase of pharmaceuticals, the unclean foods that we eat, the viruses and the bacteria are becoming drug resistant to everything that we've put out there. Gonorrhea is drug resistant now. Syphilis is drug resistant now. MRSA is drug resistant now. There's chlamydia is almost drug resistant. They're running out of ways to control these pathogenic viruses and bacteria. And if it's going to cause a disease in me, or you, and you have symptoms from the disease, it's going to do the same thing to the bacteria. It does the same thing to the bacteria. It's the same thing as going on in our bodies, in the soil, and in the air. And that is the real cause of climate change and global warming.
The microbes and bacteria are actually suffering with human diseases, and that this is causing global warming?
In fact, it is. The coral reefs are suffering from herpes. The koala bears are suffering from chlamydia. These are human STDs. And as they increase, the storms become worse. We're in, I think it was the third or fourth year of extreme drought in the United States. And these are drought conditions that we haven't seen since the Dust Bowl, which is in the 1930s. They're showing through scientific studies that this is being caused by pathogenic microbes that are attacking the ecosystems of the world.
Rhea, we appreciate your time, and thank you so much for bringing us that information.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed speaking with both of you.
In the June 2007 and November 2012 editions of the Prophetic Word magazine, Israel Hawkins of the House of Yahweh warned the world of this information that science is now proving to be true. He says the cause of global warming is much more complex than anyone could ever imagine, and that the atmosphere or firmament is a very complex, compact, constructed, individual working system.
In these issues is explained that micro kingdoms in the firmament that control the heat, snow, rain, wind, earth, and sea can no longer do their jobs, in turn causing global warming. No, it's not a coincidence or a natural occurrence. It is because of the lifestyles and practices of man that has caused the earth to suffer with the very diseases that its inhabitants are experiencing today.
And if you'd like more information on the true cause of global warming, contact the House of Yahweh at P.O. Box 2498, Abilene, Texas 79604, or visit their website at yahweh.com, or call them toll-free at 1-800-613-9494. And for all calls outside of the United States, please call the number on your screen. That's our report for tonight. I'm Kim Kaziaka.
And I'm Charity Hammerman. On behalf of all of us here at IBN News, thanks for watching.